A United States military reconnaissance aircraft has found itself in quite the extraordinary situation in West Africa. And when you understand the full context of what's been happening in the region, this story becomes absolutely explosive. President Donald Trump ordered airstrikes on Christmas Day in Nigeria, targeting groups affiliated with the Islamic State. And this surveillance plane that ended up detained is directly tied to exactly that kind of operation. Let me walk you through the entire story, because this is absolutely riveting. A King Air B200 surveillance plane operated by American forces made an emergency landing in a remote Ghanaian village. But here's what makes this story incredibly significant right now. This aircraft is part of the American military's intelligence network across West Africa, and that network has been working over time, supporting massive counter-terrorism operations, including the unprecedented strikes that President Trump personally ordered against militant positions in northwest Nigeria on December 25th. Trump announced on Christmas night that he had directed what he called powerful and deadly strikes against terrorist groups he accused of targeting and killing Christians in Nigeria's northwestern regions. The president declared that he had warned these groups there would be serious consequences if they didn't stop their attacks, and on Christmas Day, those consequences arrived in the form of American missiles hitting suspected militant camps. Now, here's where everything connects in a way that's absolutely fascinating. Before any military can conduct precision airstrikes like the ones Trump ordered, they need intelligence. They need to know exactly where the targets are located, how many fighters are present, and critically, where civilians are so they can avoid hitting innocent people. This is precisely what aircraft like the King Air B200 do. These surveillance planes fly reconnaissance missions, gathering real-time intelligence that makes precision strikes possible. So when you see an American surveillance aircraft operating in this region right now, it's directly connected to these ongoing military operations against militant groups. The aircraft encountered technical problems that forced the crew to make an emergency landing in a Ghanaian village, and the local residents, quite understandably shocked and concerned about this foreign military presence in their community, actually surrounded the plane and detained it until they received proper explanations. You can imagine waking up to find a military aircraft sitting in your village, especially with all the intense military activity happening in neighboring Nigeria. The villagers weren't taking any chances, and honestly, their response shows the kind of vigilance communities across West Africa are maintaining given the serious security challenges everyone faces. The Christmas Day strikes that Trump ordered were historic because they marked the first time the United States has launched direct, deadly strikes in Nigeria as part of counter-terrorism operations. Trump specifically mentioned that he delayed the strikes until Christmas Day to send a message, framing the operation as protecting Christians, who he claimed were being targeted at levels not seen for years or even centuries. The strikes targeted positions in Sokoto State in northwest Nigeria near the border with Niger, hitting camps allegedly belonging to groups affiliated with the Islamic State operating in the Sahel region. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced that multiple militants were eliminated in the strikes, and he made it clear there would be more operations to come if the violence continued. What makes this reconnaissance plane incident so relevant is the timing and location. The surveillance aircraft was operating in the exact region where these counter-terrorism operations are most intense. Ghana and Nigeria are neighbors, and intelligence flights covering this area would naturally operate across these borders because the militant groups don't respect national boundaries. These criminal networks and terrorist organizations move fluidly between countries, using the porous borders and difficult terrain to their advantage. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because we're going to continue following this developing story and breaking down what's really happening beyond the headlines you see everywhere else. The groups being targeted include militants affiliated with the Islamic State's Sahel province and a relatively new group called Lakurawa, which has been terrorizing communities in northwest Nigeria since last year. Lakurawa emerged as a vigilante outfit but evolved into a strict Islamist movement that enforces harsh religious rules across hundreds of villages. Nigeria declared them a terrorist organization earlier this year, and they've been responsible for numerous attacks, kidnappings, and killings in Sokoto, Zamfara, and surrounding states. The detention of that reconnaissance plane in Ghana, while initially seeming like an unrelated incident, actually pulls back the curtain on the extensive intelligence infrastructure that makes these strikes possible. Most people have no idea that foreign military aircraft are regularly flying surveillance missions above their countries, gathering intelligence that feeds into military operations happening elsewhere in the region. When something unexpected like an emergency landing occurs, it suddenly makes visible what's usually invisible, and communities quite naturally want answers about what's happening in their airspace. If you're finding this breakdown helpful and want to understand the real stories behind the sensational headlines, please like this video and make sure you're subscribed to our channel.